Today's video is sponsored by Elementor. I listen to a fair bit of podcasts and probably watch more YouTube content than I should. So one thing I'm inundated with is ads for these closed website platforms that promise to make it super easy for even a non-technical person to put their website together in just a matter of a few hours. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with these platforms. However, they do irk me. I get a little bit upset every time I hear one of these commercials because I feel like so many people are going to see these ads and think, well, that's the place that you build websites, and not even investigate any other options. So there's this concept of open source software, which is software that is built by a community of volunteers, and they're not getting paid to make the software. They just make the software so that they can use it themselves, and they share it with everyone for free. WordPress is by far the most popular open source software when it comes to building websites. You can think of WordPress like an operating system for your website. It's running the underlying infrastructure, and you can bolt anything that you want to on top of it. Now, this is great for features, but it can also be a little bit overwhelming because if you have a super flexible platform, it means that it's harder for it to be very easy and intuitive to use. That's why Elementor was such a game changer when it burst onto the scene back in about 2017. Before this, WordPress felt really kludgy and like you're using a computer from 1990. But Elementor was like one of these closed platforms bolted on top of WordPress so that you could create anything you could imagine without learning to code. One of the newest things that Elementor is doing is providing hosting. That's essentially the computer that your website is running on. Now, what's really great about this is with a few clicks, I can get a WordPress website set up with the Elementor Pro website builder pre-installed. I don't have to pay an extra fee for that, and it's normally $60 a year. What you're getting with Elementor hosting is called managed WordPress hosting, meaning that you don't need to do any of the tech stuff. Everything is taken care of for you. You get automatic updates, daily backups, a staging site, and even things like cloning features are available on their larger plans. Elementor is taking on the responsibility to make sure that your website is running quickly. Fast websites are super important because if people land on your website and it takes a long time to load, everybody knows that they just click away and go to another site. So with Elementor's hosting, they're going to keep everything loading fast. Elementor will also keep your site secure so that you don't get hacked and your site starts redirecting to random places on the internet. You get DDoS protection so no one tries to bring your site down, and they put up a firewall so that bad actors can't get in. All right, enough talk here. Let's go ahead and choose a plan. I'm gonna go for this business plan right here, which gives me a single website for $20 a month. Now, it is billed annually, so it's about $300 a year. However, that's pretty cheap for everything that you're gonna get. The reason I chose this plan is twofold. First of all, you get 30 days backup as opposed to just 14 days. I really like having a little bit of extra time in case something goes wrong and I need to roll back. And additionally, you get a staging environment. This is really important to me. I like to test out new features in staging before I push them to the live site, and you don't get that with the cheaper plan. As a bonus, you get an additional team member that can contact support on your behalf. So if you have an assistant or somebody that you're building a site with, that will definitely be helpful. Just to be clear here, that doesn't mean you can only have one other person working on your WordPress site. It just means the connection to Elementor is limited to those two people. This is WordPress. It's still completely open source. You can add as many users as you like. And to emphasize that point, they have it in their FAQ. Can I transfer my Elementor hosted site to another provider? And yes, you can. They even give you 3 different options for how to do that. So we're using WordPress as our infrastructure. Elementor is our page builder on top, but it's also our support mechanism underneath, keeping the site online. If you ever decide that you want to move your site to a different host, you can simply pack up your files, bring them over there, and you'll be good to go. In fact, a lot of hosts will do the migration for you. All right, I just went ahead and I made my purchase. I've got the business plan right here. I'm gonna go ahead and create my site. So I just clicked into the hosting and you can see here it says 0 of 1 websites. The business plan only comes with 1 site, but you can choose a larger plan that gives you more sites. Like the Grow plan gives you 3 sites and the Scale plan gives you 10 sites. So if you wanna build sites for other people, this is definitely a good option. All right, let's get started. I'm gonna click on create a new website. All right, so the first thing it does is ask me what my website name is. Now, I already have a name picked out, so I'm gonna go ahead and type that in. Brain Revenue. It's gonna be a blog about making money based on information that you know. Okay, I have to work on the concept. One thing Elementor has always done a really good job of is providing you with templates that you can use throughout your website. So you don't need to be a professional graphic designer to get a good looking website. A few years ago, they added this feature called a website kit, which is essentially a collection of templates that you can use as the foundation of your website. Just populate it with your own data and you're ready to go. There's a ton of different options here. You can see there's 103 different results, and we can sort things by category if you really want to drill down. I'll choose the simple website, and you can see there's a bunch of different options here. So if you're putting together a music festival, you could check out this one. If you're a real estate agent, maybe you check here. There's options for online courses, wedding invitations. So if you're getting married, you want to put together your own wedding website. That's really cool. There's options for musicians, singers, services like carpenters or cleaning companies. There's even a baby sleep consultant website. So literally anything you can think of, there's probably a website kit that you could start from. If you're more of a design purist and you don't want to see all of the content right away, you could think about starting with one of the wireframe options, which will just show you the layout and then you can populate it with your own data. Or maybe you are a professional graphic designer, in which case you can start from scratch. Now, I am not a professional graphic designer, so I'm definitely going to choose one of these website kits. All right, because my website is called Brain Revenue, and I'm going to help people make money with things that they know. I'm going to check out this business advisor blog. So I can click what's inside, and we get a little preview window here. So I can toggle between desktop view, tablet view, and mobile view and see what the website looks like on all of those different devices. Scroll through, use the website just like normal, right? Here's a blog post. I wonder what that looks like on the phone. Okay, I could definitely see myself reading this. Get a little mobile menu here. All right, I definitely want to start with this website kit. So I'm going to choose right up here, start with this kit. So it says grab a coffee. This can take about 5 minutes, and basically that they're setting up the WordPress website for me. So we're on step 2 of 4 right now. They're activating the Elementor Pro plugin. Don't mind if I do, Elementor. Sweet, it says ta-da, your site is ready to go. Let's go check it out. All right, so this is called the WordPress admin area, and this is where we're gonna build out our entire website. Now, just to get a quick look at what Elementor did on our behalf, I'm actually going to click up here and choose visit the site. This will show me the front end. This is what people will see when they visit our website. Now, right now, it's just got a little placeholder for the logo. I can see the home page, the about page. This looks really good. And the contact page. All right, back inside WordPress admin, I'm really excited to start working on things. So I'm just gonna give you a quick run through of the basics of WordPress in case you've never used the platform before. Inside the WordPress admin, we get this left-hand sidebar. And as you add more features to WordPress, this will become more populated so you can get directly to different plugins that you add. Elementor itself is actually a plugin for WordPress. It's added a menu item over here to the left. WordPress by default would not come with Elementor installed. But since I'm using Elementor hosting, I didn't have to do anything. Elementor is already installed, enabled, and activated. Let's go ahead and check out the plugin section over here. So you can see that this is a super clean install. We just have an activity log so we can see what's going on the website, and then Elementor, and then the Pro add-on. The plugin system is really one of the best reasons to use WordPress. You want to be careful not to overdo it and just add an abundance of different plugins. But if there's features you want to add to your website, plugins are usually the best way to do it. So I'll go to plugins, add new. And this takes me to the WordPress plugin directory where I can literally search for any feature I can imagine. If you want to create an online store, you can add WooCommerce. It's totally free. If you want to add things like Google Analytics to your website, you can try GTM for WP. You simply download this, add your tracking code from Google, and you'll have analytics and measurements across every page on your website. I mean, there's literally no stop to the amount of plugins that you can add. There's over 54,000 different plugins in the directory alone, and you can always get third-party plugins that might not even be listed here. Everything in the directory is totally free, but often there's an upsell so that you can get extra features if you upgrade to the premium version. Let me tell you a few other things you should know about WordPress if you've never used it before. There's something called a theme. Every WordPress site needs a theme. That is different than the template system or the website kit that we installed to begin with. Now, because we're using Elementor, we are running their theme, which is called Hello. Hello is the best theme to use if you're running Elementor. However, you're not locked into it just because we're using Elementor's hosting. You can always click Add New, and then just like the plugin directory, there's a huge list of themes available to you from WordPress. These are all totally free. Like plugins, themes often have premium versions, which actually are just plugins that add more features to the theme. Next, let's talk about the user system within WordPress. So over on the sidebar, I can go down to users here. Now you can add as many users as you want on your website. So these could be people that are helping you create and publish content, or they could also be your customers or students if you're building online courses or have an online store. Right now I have one user on my website and it's an administrator. If I wanted to add someone else to help me build out this website, I would click Add New. Then I could enter in a username and email address for them, set their user role. WordPress gives you 5 different user roles by default, but just like everything else in WordPress, if you have an idea for a custom user role, there's a way to add that. The built-in ones are good for 99% of people. So we've got subscribers. Those are people that are reading your website and they can do things like comment. Contributors can write articles on your website, but they can't publish them or edit other people's posts. Authors can write articles on your website and they can publish their own content, but they can't edit anything else. Editors can do everything that authors can do, except they can also edit other people's content. And then finally, administrators have access to everything, so they can change the settings of your website. Okay, one last thing about WordPress before we actually start to customize our website. We've got pages and posts over here. These are 2 different types of posts that you can have on a WordPress website. I know that sounds funny that a page is a post and a post is a post, but that's the language that WordPress uses. So the difference between pages and posts is that pages are permanent. They're something that's going to be on your website forever, but they don't have dates to them. You don't usually update pages very often. So think about things like your home page, your about page, or your contact page. Those are going to be pages and not posts. Posts, on the other hand, are dated and they have an author. These are things like blog posts or the content that you're actually creating. You don't usually put blog posts up in your nav bar. Instead, you have a link to a directory of all of your posts. All right, so I think those are the core things you should know about WordPress and just website building in general before you dive in with your own website. So let's get going. Let's customize our WebKit over here and build something that is totally unique. So back on my homepage here, I want to change this because I don't know who this dude is, but he's not me. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Edit with Elementor. This pops open the exact same page we just saw, but now we're in a website building mode. Now this works very intuitively. We've got the blocks that we can use to build websites with over here on the left. If I wanted to add something like, I don't know, how about a video right here? I could just drag and drop it, choose my YouTube link, and a video is on my website. That's a terrible idea though. Let's not do that. I'm going to right click here and choose delete. So clearly this is the preview of the page we're working on. I just mentioned the blocks over here on the left. There's a ton of them to choose from. But what the heck is this thing over here? This is called the navigator, and you can get rid of it or have it sticky over on the right-hand side if you want. But basically what this does is lets you move around to different parts of your page. As you're working on your website for a long time, pages can get very long and complex. So the navigator is there to help you navigate around a particular page. Like if I want to go to this other section, I'll just click right here. It automatically scrolls me to that area, and you can see it's highlighted with this pink outline. As I click on a different element like this heading, it also shows up inside of the navigator, so I can be very clear about what I'm working on. Notice there's a little eyeball over here. So if I wanted to preview what it would look like without it, I can just click right here and it disappears. Now it's not actually gone from my website. I'm just looking to see what it would look like. If I want to remove something, I can right click and choose delete. For now, I'm going to get rid of the navigator by choosing this X right here. Now I have a lot more room to work with. If I want to pull it up again in the future, I can right click anywhere and just open up the navigator. All right, let's get started customizing this homepage. First of all, I want to replace this image. So I've got it selected. You can see it outlined in pink here. Here is the image. I can choose anything I want right here. I'll choose image and upload my own. All right, I've got this image of myself. I'm just going to drag and drop it. There it is. I'll select and boom, that looks pretty custom, right? All right, let's update this headline here. Remember my website was called Brain Revenue, and I had the idea of using the information that you know to generate revenue. So let me write a headline about that. So here's my first draft. It says, turn what's in your brain into something in the bank. What do you think? It probably needs a little work, but you know what? I definitely think it's too long now. At least it's too big, right? The other one fit into just 3 lines. Here we're breaking and going to the 4th line. So I definitely want to fix the look of this. Now, every single element in Elementor, this is the header, down here, this is some text, we've got a button. It always follows the same format where we have our content, then the style options, followed by some advanced settings for things like padding and adding custom CSS. So what I really want to do is change the font size on this particular heading. So I could go over to style here and you see options like the color or the typography and then some additional styling options. I'm going to go into typography here and I can change the font size right here. I'll try something like 48. All right, I think that looks a lot better. I also want to bring the line height down. Right now it's set to 70 pixels. I'm going to change this from pixels to ems and I'll make it 1.2. I think that looks pretty good. So now that I made changes to the typography section, you can see that it turns a darker shade of gray. This is to let me know that, hey, there's some changes that have happened here over the system defaults. I'm gonna undo these for a minute, just clicking on this pencil icon and then restore it back to the default. When you see this pink globe lit up, that means it's using one of the system defaults as the style option. So this is a system color here. Clicking on the globe options lets me see my different presets. So we're seeing all of these colors throughout the website. We've got the primary color, that's the headline right here. Then there's a secondary and text color. Obviously the text is for the text right here. The accent color is the buttons. We've got white, transparent, and then this bluish background color. So these are all global colors that I can change very easily and impact the entire look of my website. Let's go ahead and check out how to do that. I'm gonna click on this menu right up here, these three lines, and then go to Site Settings. Inside the site settings, we have the option to set up our design system. So we've got global colors and global fonts. Let's start with the global colors. Over here to the right is something called a style guide. And this is something that website designers have used forever. In fact, print designers use it as well to see the different styles that will be used in a publication or a website. So here is our color palette. We've got a few custom colors down here, and we can easily modify these. So first I'm gonna change my accent color. This is gonna be things like the buttons. I wanna make those pop out a little bit more. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna paste in a hexadecimal color that I've got picked out. The text I wanna darken up just a little bit. I can use the slider over here to pick the exact color that I want. And for my secondary color, I'm gonna go nearly black with just a hint of orange. All right, I think these are looking pretty good, but I wanna check out what it looks like on my actual website. So I'm gonna go to the style guide preview here and just toggle this off. All right, right away, I like this a lot more. One color I definitely want to change is this blue color in the background. There, I chose a little bit more of a gray color, so now things are focused on the content. I like this. Next, I'm going to change the fonts. I know that serifs are kind of in style right now. Those are those little decorations, but to me, it still feels a little bit old and stodgy, a little too business-like. So I'm going to go ahead and make something a little bit more fun. We'll go back out of our site settings. I'm going to save this for sure, and I'm going to choose global fonts. Now, just like in our global colors, we have the option to use the style guide to preview. I'm gonna turn this on. Here we have all of the different options that Elementor created for me based on the WebKit that I chose. I think all of the sizes are generally pretty good, but I definitely wanna change the font family. So I'm gonna go under each one of these and switch it over to Rubik. You have access to all of the Google fonts. And then for the main body text, I feel like this is the one that's actually a little bit small for my taste. So I'm gonna go ahead and change this to Georgia, which is a serif. I think that's a little bit nicer to read. And I'm gonna bump this up to, let's make it 18 on desktop. And I'll do the same thing here for the accent text, which is just using a little bit lighter weight. All right, I just went through and I changed all of the styles over to Rubik. I'm happy with how things are looking. I'm gonna go ahead and save these changes. Before we leave the style settings, this is a good time to introduce the idea of responsive editing inside of Elementor. Responsive design is the idea that people are going to be visiting your website on their computer, but they're also going to be visiting your website on their phone. And we want it to be responsive so that it looks good no matter what device people choose. So we've got responsive mode here in Elementor. I can click on this and up at the top, I can toggle between different devices. Now we've been editing in desktop mode, but what about in tablet mode? Now I can edit all of my font sizes so that they look good on tablet. I'll bump this one up just a little bit more. Just to show you the difference, this is desktop view, which is 46 pixels, and in tablet view, we're at 36 pixels. If I go even smaller to mobile phone, we're at 28 pixels. Any of the styling options that have a device next to them are able to be adjusted based on screen size. So I can't change the font family based on screen size, but I can change the size of the font or the line height, the letter spacing, so on and so forth. So that's one thing I want to change actually is the line height here. I'm gonna switch this over to ems and set it to 1.2. Now, if I look at this on mobile, maybe I decide, well, that's a little bit tight on mobile. The font's pretty big. I'm gonna bump this up to 1.3. Back over in desktop, it stays at 1.2. Tablet will also be 1.2, but now there's a custom setting for the mobile phone. So it always starts at the biggest device and then the settings trickle down. If you modify something at a smaller setting, it won't impact the larger devices. All right, I'm gonna update my site here and let's go back to editing our page. Everything's looking really good here. However, there's still a few small things I wanna tweak. First of all, I've gotta get a logo in here. I'm not a real big fan of the look of these menu items with the line on top and bottom. And the buttons are kind of bothering me because they're using the body text instead of one of the headlines. So let's go ahead and change all of these things. First off, let's add a logo. To do this, we need to edit what's called our header. The header and the footer are generally on every single page of your website. So editing something on this page will affect the rest of the entire website. To edit the header, just click in this greenish bluish area, open it up. Now it's gonna ask you if you wanna save the changes you've made to your page because essentially we're opening up a brand new page inside of the editor here. So I'm gonna save my changes. And now I'm editing the header. Now everything else is still visible on the page, but if I wanna go back to editing the page, I've gotta click down here. All right, now I'm gonna click on the logo and I get this option to change the site logo. This is not just an image that's on my website, it's a special element in Elementor called the site logo. I'm gonna click change site logo right here. And now I can upload a logo as well as a favicon. A favicon is that little image that shows up in your browser tab, or if you save it as a bookmark, the image that shows up there. I'm gonna go ahead and upload my logo. I also have a favicon, so I'm gonna upload that too. Before I save an update, I'm gonna add my site description, and now I'll choose update. All right, let's go back to the editor. And now my logo is showing up on the header. That looks way more on brand, awesome. Now, a minute ago, I also mentioned that I don't like the look of the navigation. When I hover over it, I'm not really feeling the double lines. So let me click right here to open up the WordPress menu. And then down here, I can see pointer double line. I'm gonna go ahead and change this. I'm gonna go with a standard underline. Sometimes old fashioned just works. All right, that looks way better. Now, I know this is a little bit hard to see actually what's happening because I still have all of the editing options here. You don't have to save things and look at them on the live website. If you click this little button right over here, it slides this left-hand sidebar out of the way, and then all of the editing options disappear so I can actually preview my website. So I think this looks way better. I'm personally not a fan of the slow kind of fade in. I'd like it to just show up. I think things that happen quickly are cooler. So under animation here, I can choose one of the different options, but I think I'm just gonna go with none. Yeah, I like that. Just immediate. All right, this is looking good. I'm gonna save my header. And now I'm gonna go back to editing my page. Okay, so the last thing I wanna change on this page for now is the buttons. I mentioned that I'm not really a fan of using the serif in the buttons. I chose, I think, Georgia as my body font, and I'd like to make this Rubik. So I've got a few options here. I could click on this particular button, and then I could just edit the style. And if I was doing this as a one-off thing and I just wanted this button to change, that's how I would do it. In this case, I want to change it for every button on my website, and I don't want to be stuck hunting around my website looking for each individual button to change the style. So in this case, I'm going to go back over to site settings, and instead of going to the design system, I'm going to go to the theme style, and you can see there's an option for buttons. Now buttons can pull in one of our global colors or global fonts. So under typography, I'm going to choose menu links. I'll hit update. Now I didn't see a change right away. So what I need to do is go over to the settings page and I'm going to check these options to disable default colors and disable default fonts. I'll hit save changes. And now my website looks a lot different, but I just got super control over every element on the page. I'll show you what I mean. So this time, rather than going right into the page, I'm actually going to go to edit with Elementor and go to site settings. Now I can go under buttons and I can change the background color and choose one of the global colors. There we go. The typography I already assigned to be the same as the nav items. I think they usually make a pretty good match for each other. But if I wanted to spruce things up a little bit, I could always modify this right here. Maybe I want to make it a little bit heavier weight. There, that looks good. And bigger size. I can increase the line height. And when I get everything just how I want, I can even save this as a new global font. I'll call it button typography and hit create. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit beyond the basic features here, but the inner workings between the global fonts and global colors and the theme styles is one of the reasons that I really like working with sites that are built on Elementor. It makes editing things really, really quick across the entire site. Like for example, all of these postcards have a reddish color to them. I wanna make sure that I assign it to one of my global colors. So in this case, all of these headings are actually links. So I'm gonna go under links and choose a global color. I'll choose this secondary color and that looks a lot better. However, I want to make sure everyone knows it's a link when they hover over it. So now I'll choose hover, color, and I'll choose the accent color. All right, that looks really good. I'll hit update and let's exit out to the WordPress admin. All right, so we've seen how easy it is to get started with a website kit and then begin to customize it to look totally on brand. But how do you actually get traffic to your website? Well, that's a huge topic, obviously, but the fundamentals of it are something called SEO. You might have heard people talk about this before. With SEO, we want to make sure that our pages are making it very clear what they're all about. This way, when Google crawls our website, it can very easily understand our content. To do this, we can use an SEO plugin. And I love that Elementor plays really nicely with a variety of different SEO plugins. I'm gonna go ahead and add one right now. So I'll go to plugins, add new. And one that I really like is called SEO Press. SEO Press has a free and premium version, but I'm just gonna use the free version for now. I'll install it and click activate. I just noticed that there's a little Elementor widget right over here, so I can click for support. It opens up a chat bot. That's really cool. Okay, focus, back on track. Here we've got SEO Press installed. If I go through the setup wizard here, I'm gonna be able to tell SEO Press what my website's all about. But more importantly to me, when I'm editing pages inside of Elementor, I'm gonna have the option to edit the SEO right there. I'll click on the gear icon, and now all of these features show up. They weren't there before. I can edit the title. So if this shows up on Google, this is what it's gonna look like. All right, there we go. I added some little emojis, and that sure is a cute result on Google. And there's a little description. Now, that certainly looks way better than the default, what it looked like beforehand. SEO Press also has options for social sharing, and I can edit them right inside of Elementor. So if I wanna have a share image on Facebook or Twitter, I can just upload an image right here. And the same thing goes, I can see a little preview of what the image is gonna look like. Now, obviously, I don't like this very much, so I could add a new title and Facebook description right here. All right, that already looks way better. I definitely would change the thumbnail image right here by uploading something custom for this particular page, but I think you get the point. SEO is super important to getting traffic to your website from Google, but also if you already have traffic on your website and people are sharing your stuff, you wanna make sure that it looks good when it ends up on Facebook. There's definitely a reason that Elementor is the #2 plugin on the entire WordPress repository. Millions and millions of people use Elementor as the page builder that powers their website. If you're looking for a future-proof, non-technical solution to building out a custom website, Elementor is a great option for you. And when you pair it with Elementor's cloud hosting, man, all of the rigmarole of maintaining a WordPress website just goes out the window. If you're interested in trying Elementor Cloud Pro, I have a link in the description. If you click that, it definitely helps me out. If you have any comments or questions, definitely hit me up down below. And that's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully it's been helpful and informative. I'll see you in the next one.